Welcome everyone to a Link to the Past Randomizer Crosskey Tournament Grand Finals. Your mic is on, got him. This is Andy versus Linlinlin. Andy is up one game of this best of 5. We'll be starting in a short minute and 13 seconds. And I am the restreamer, but the two on commentary today are free to introduce themselves and what is going on.
Hello all, I'm Allison, and joining with me is Goomba. Welcome
Hello.
to what is Game 1 of the Grand Finals of the Crosskeys tournament. Andy is going to be starting with a 1-0 lead as he was the winner bracket champion. These two faced off earlier and had 3 pretty close games where Andy triumphed 2-1. And so this is technically showing a 1-0 lead for Andy. And so there will be up to 4 games in the grand final. Yeah, lots and lots to like about this matchup. Anything you got your eyes on here, Goomba?
So these are definitely 2 of the best players. Everyone knows Andy, right? Multiple time tournament champion, really good player. Lin, bit less known maybe, but in recent times he has definitely gotten more exposure. One of the best Crosskeys players, I think. This should be a really interesting race, I think. But they have some very distinct differences in their routing styles. So this could be very interesting. Definitely looking forward to see how this shapes out.
Yeah, I think this will be really interesting to watch just because you have 2 different runners. So like you said, they have very, very different routing styles, but I think they also have very, very different strengths. And I think Andy, at least in terms of the rando community, is pretty close to having unmatched execution, whereas Lin, I think, is more of a Crosskeys main, and they're both really, really good runners in all of these modes that you'll see. But I think this is a one where mode-specific stuff is probably more likely to favor Lin on the whole. Especially because I think one of the things that's fun about Lin is he's very, very good at on-the-fly routing. There's a lot of times where it will be very, very easy to watch Lin and go, wait, what is he doing? Only to find out that Lin is much smarter than you and thought 3 steps ahead of you and found a way to connect his route really impressively.
Lin's routing is definitely really, really unintuitive at times, but it ends up working out pretty well, usually. It'll be interesting to see what kind of nonsense he has for us today.
Yeah, and it sounds like Lin's going with a Ace Attorney pack for MSU, whereas Andy's playing something a little more preferential. So I'm going to be having Lin stream up. Or a little more standard. I don't really listen to actual Zelda ones most of the time. But yeah, Andy is busy putting away his new puppy. If you've never seen it, it's gorgeous.
It's a very cute puppy.
And we're still watching the race room for the race to actually start. I think what we'll probably see, knowing both the runners, Andy's likely going to be opening his route. We'll see both runners probably start in Link's house. Andy's going to open his route likely and rush straight to Hyrule Castle. Lin is going to be going a route that's a little bit more flexible than that, but one of the things you'll almost certainly see is you'll see him begin by running down and fake flippering to the witch's hut, which is one of those really, really out of the way spots in Crosskeys. One thing I think you see a lot from people who play a ton of Crosskeys is that they tend to be very, very risk averse. They don't think of the seed as a sprint; it's much more of a marathon. And so you'll make plays that are a little more designed to make sure that bad things don't happen rather than maximizing the good things that are going to happen. And so Lin's going to make sure he gets money, give himself as many opportunities to get bombs as early on as possible.
It looks like Andy has returned without a puppy, so we'll probably be getting started here shortly. It is best of 5, yes. Since Andy came from the winner's bracket, he will be starting the series with a 1-game advantage.
As the race room is going live now, so we'll be going in about 10 seconds, modulo the tiny delay on things. But I am scoping the race room so that I know this stuff is happening. Yeah, and we're on about a 30-second slowdown here, so this is going to be about 30 seconds off. Andy, of course, using his very signature pug sprite, whereas Lin is going in with the girl from Secret of Mana, whose name I always forget.
I've never played the game, so I have no idea. But we are indeed both starting in Link's house, starting up with a bottle.
That's really nice to have. Both because if you happen to find an early pot, it makes it really, really easy to PCU quickly. But also, if you find Sick Kid, it prevents orphaning it.
Yeah. And sometimes you can be forced into some really dangerous low percent Dark World exploration, and having that potion on hand in case things get dicey can be kind of nice.
Yep, and it looks like Hyrule Castle just has C-shaped house, which has half magic, so lots of nice safeties really, really early on here. Lin, meanwhile, is going to take a whack at these green pickles to see if he can catch a bomb drop from any of them. Andy, meanwhile, setting up for the tree pull here.
Stole that strat from me.
Hey, I stole that strat from him. And it looks like the tier 1 tree pull is going to be the 20 rupee pull, as the green pickle has just the arrow price back, so not particularly exciting. But
and
that 20 rupee pull...
Ganon at the uncle drop.
Not really my favorite thing to find early, but that's also because I'm a weirdo who really, really appreciates vanilla Ganon. I like knowing whether I'm going to have to climb or not.
Agreed. I believe we also saw a Guinness cave at the Witch's Hut, and Lin did not have a bomb, so gonna have to come back for that one.
We have a Guinness cave at Witch's Hut, and we have C-shaped house at Castle. But Lin is going to come in here and dive into the water 3 times before walking to the bush and finding himself transported to the bug room. Andy, meanwhile, has already headed off to Sanctuary and Kakariko Village, and finds a dark room, doesn't probe it to see if it's the old man cave to Death Mountain. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lin do that, although Lin is likely not going to rush the castle play, since he tends to be a little bit more risk averse about going there without bombs. Not that it matters, as Andy does get the 50-50 from the bush and cack here, which is very nice.
That is a blistering Hotel Mario time.
GG's, guys. It's a nice game 1. Hopefully game 2 will be every bit as competitive, as Lin finds my single favorite entrance in the game early on.
This is a very nice find. You don't
Graveyard Legends magical.
And we see Misery Mire in Kakariko Village. Can't really do anything there yet, but it's a nice dungeon to move into later.
And Lin's going to farm a little bit of bombs here. I'm not sure he's going to go to 10 or just stop at 7. Since it does cost about 7 to 8 seconds each cycle here.
He's grabbing the full down.
We'll see if that makes him a little more inclined to go after Hyrule Castle when he finds it in Kakariko. Since I assume he will probably be back there pretty quickly. I, at this point, think his route here is going to be to finish this entrance and then walk to Castle really quickly. Never a bad thing to find. Oh, and with that Moon Pearl, Lin says, you know what, I can go... Interesting. He decides... Oh, is he just running back to the castle this way? Yeah, okay. Depending on how early Andy goes there and how much Andy does, that could be a nice little early advantage for Lin. Lin's gonna check the tier 2 tree pull here, and it's just small magic. And after sets it, he'll probably check the tier 1 as well and find the good news.
Finding the Moon Pearl too early can also be a disadvantage, though, depending on how the scene plays out.
Lin with some next level bomb steal strats here. We do not know where the well is yet. There are multiple drop downs that have not been checked yet.
Yeah, we've only checked about half of them so far. But we should see the rest here shortly, most likely.
And Andy does have enough money now, and so he will be able to pick up 10 bombs. And so, no harm from his more aggressive start. Although he doesn't have the Moon Pearl, so that could be expressed as harm depending on the connectors he finds and how long it takes him to get there. Lin finds Paradox Cave, and since he does have bombs, is going to go in and immediately loot the 7 items. No real cost to this for him, since it's right next to the save point.
It's a very nice find early. 7 items, 2 connectors. It's always something you like seeing.
Andy's showing off the tier 0 tree pull, which as always gives you no items.
Oh, well, that's a nice big key. Oh, there's another nice big key on that side.
I actually really hate finding the Eastern Big Key before I have the bow. If I find that Eastern Big Key, I want to find Eastern Palace and just be like, you know what, no, I can clear this whole thing. But we'll see, as Lin is gonna get all 3
I just don't want to find
here.
Eastern Palace.
It's a big, big mood.
And we find out that desert is the green pennant, right as Lin finds the Desert Palace map and the mirror.
Alright, Lin now in a really interesting situation with that mirror and that Moon Pearl, because he's now in a position where following connectors is really, really profitable, as he basically has the ability to double clear most of the world. So he can go somewhere in Dark World, then Mirror, and check all the entrances in Light World, which can greatly speed up the efficiency of the route that he is going for. And so
I
you might
expect
be
Lin to very aggressively follow connectors at this point.
Yes. As he's getting bullied a little bit by the Dead Rock. But this is kind of like the difference in styles we were noting, where Andy's a little bit more fixed in his routing early on, whereas Lin is a very, very fluid router. And Andy is probably also going to take advantage of the potion camera unlock glitch here, with that bottle he got in Link's house. Although is setting up a death warp, since unlike Lin does not start with a bottle.
Nice key.
Oh, and there's a pod key in pod. Oh, nothing ever changes. Andy will likely get the first 5 items in pod here, using 2 of them using the bottle out of logic and the rest in logic. Then you'll notice is being a little bit careful about his heart count in case he gets sent somewhere bad, and that's a nice connector to get spit out onto.
Not so nice small key, but what can you do?
No, that's what I will happily never, ever see. I definitely missed what was on the Turtle Rock, but as Bombos. Thank you, Tracker.
I also missed it.
I was hoping you saw it and was being very quiet until you said something about it. I would say, so notably, Lin now has some really, really fast paths to get places because of this connector into Paradox Cave. As he finds another nice big key in Mire. Andy either messed up the PCU, or I think he just decided to mimic clip instead. Which, if you can do it, is not too bad.
I have definitely done this before to save the potion. So, can't really blame him.
That's also why Lin has been so aggressive about just jumping back down to Death Mountain and checking this again. Especially because he knows that down here there is another entrance into Paradox Cave, and so he can easily just go straight back up to Floating Island. But instead is going to walk through Desert Palace and follow the connectors there. Apparently wants to save up his bomb, so isn't going to chuck it at those dudes. Andy, meanwhile, finding the cape and not much else from his pod play.
Cape does have some potential, though.
It does, especially with that early mirror. It does open up the ability to get to the Agate Tower entrance. So we see a small key on the torch here. Of course, Cape was in Saha's hut. There's a lot to track during these seeds.
Imagine paying attention. Is that our job or something?
No.
Good.
Ooh, and that's an interesting connector spot if this is anything useful, as it's another big key. Lin really running up the big key scoreboard here. I think it's, what, 3-1 now? But yeah, that is a vanilla left side of desert. Which is...
Can we have a vanilla right side desert too?
I've had it happen once. It was pretty funny.
Same. Oh, that's a hammer behind gloves. That's valuable information.
Yeah, I suspect Lin probably won't be as eager to check that. Although he might be able to, if he ever gets spit out at Bumper Cave or in North Dark World, he might actually just be able to...
No, Ganon was at the Uncle drop down. I think it's the well in the pyramid.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the well yet. I think the well has to be on the drop in here. Well, and yeah, Lin, not having a glove, decides he doesn't care about that information and is just going to save and quit. And heads back to Sanctuary. Unrat, I believe the name changes between the runner's name that they use and their stream name. Lin, whose stream is Linlinlin, does in fact have two different names he uses. So we are now going to get our first look at what's in Agina's hut. Lin obviously knows this is here, but...
He's probably not going to return here for a while.
Yeah, I would suspect that unless there's something load-bearing in here, that Lin probably won't be back here until he's there in the Dark World.
Yeah, I would assume as much.
And it is in fact nothing. So no worries for Lin here, who is in no rush to examine the contents of Kakariko Village. Instead is going to use this to get to the west side of Death Mountain.
Lin's highest priority right now is most likely finding a connector to the main Dark Overworld. So he can double clear the entire world if possible.
By being patient here and not going straight to Kakariko, he gives himself the ability where he can just say, hey, I'm going to do Village of Outcasts along with the same area, which is a nice little gain in efficiency, as Linda's going to pick up the first sword here on Spectacle Rock.
Andy, meanwhile, is checking out Paradox Cave, so he's going to get his mirror now, but does not have that Moon Pearl yet, so he won't be able quite the same level of efficiency as Lin's able to.
But unfortunately, he might actually get lured into doing this same level of efficiency play here.
It's possible, which will lead him to the Moon Pearl eventually, once he gets over there, if he finds some connector to the Dark World. But he will miss out on some stuff by virtue of being a bunny, if he does that.
Yeah, and therefore he'll probably have to either spend a lot of time super bunnying, or he'll go back and have to do it. So Andy just saving and quitting out of Paradox Cave. Probably doesn't want to use the bombs right now. We'll see if he just spots right back there, or he's going to pick up what is probably going to be his Moon Pearl right now. We'll see where he goes. He's going to start down here, but he may pop back up. This is one of those caves that's just hard to find a good time to route in. And so oftentimes you just route in whenever you're there at Link's house.
Yeah, I tend to just check it whenever I save and quit the Link's house and have bombs.
Alright, so Andy's gonna get his Pearl here, which is nice for him and nice for the overall health of the race, although knowing his routing style, I think he's going to be a little bit more aggressive at spreading out his path instead of being as scattered as Lin is being right now. Meanwhile, Lin finding Mini Moldorm Cave on Death Mountain.
Which, in typical Entrance Shuffle fashion, will contain absolutely nothing.
Well, it is a 5-item cave early. Why would you ever expect it to be useful?
Exactly.
And to be fair to Andy, he may also be doing this route because if he has paid attention to the way Lin plays, wow, that was a great prediction.
Yeah, very accurate prediction. I feel very validated right now.
But if Andy's studied Lin's routing, and I think most of the high-level players have a decent sense on how the other ones tend to route, he also knows that that's a play that Lin probably would have made early on, given what he found, and so it may just be a defensive play from Andy as well.
Yeah, and this, going to the Eastern Palace area here, for Andy, this is something I don't expect Lin to do for a while until he finds his way over here in the Dark World.
I would be stunned.
So, if Andy finds something huge here, that could be a pretty big swing in his favor.
There's the back of Desert Palace, which is nice to find, and Andy is making a play that he almost always will, which is that he'll at least grab the key to Desert Palace to leave his options open. But like even that's like a, 5-10 second thing that Lin won't have to do, because Lin already has the key and knows he won't have to steal the key.
Yeah.
And yeah, as Remember points out, Lin does have the tools to full clear Eastern Palace when he finds it. Obviously missing the lamp to do it in logic, but that's a really, really nice play, or a nice thing to be able to do, because Eastern Palace sucks.
Agreed.
That's a nasty position. So that's Spiral Cave at Eastern Palace, which is now going to kind of orphan the Flute 5 spot entrance a lot. And Andy also, without the sword, is going to have to be a little more careful going through this than Lin would have to be. So lots of small sort of efficiency things building up for Lin. Nothing bad that Andy's doing necessarily, just...
Yeah, some very minor incremental time saves here and there that could add up in the long run, but ultimately it's gonna come down to who makes the right play late game.
And as always, when you followed early, Spiral Cave is crap. So Andy does have the cape, but the only advantage the cape gives you is, first off,
That
is being able to access that entrance.
Well, there is also the Bumper Ledge connector. Or
There is the
Cave,
bumper connector as well. But otherwise, the Master Sword is every bit as good as the cape. Although I suspect that Lin will probably not head up here until he has the ability to get to East Dark World. Although he may similarly be inclined to follow connectors, as there is the right side of Desert Palace as the bottom of Spectral Rock, making that a real shit connector. But it does spit Lin out at Thieves Town. So we get our first actual dungeon with a boss in it that a person will start going into. Still in the Desert Key doesn't count.
Well, Andy did the front of pod.
Yeah, fair enough. Lin missing the hookshot. There's an anti-fairy hiding under that pot, and you can hookshot past it. It's just a somewhat precise pixel that you have to set up on.
That's a semi-convenient book placement since Lin can now go out and check the desert main entrance if he wants to.
Yeah, although annoyingly, he just came down from Tower of Hera, but it is relatively easy to get back to if you want to check Ether Tablet that way.
Yeah, Andy meanwhile digs up some bombs.
But yeah, that might be the least mad I've ever gotten by a book placement in the scene.
Oh,
and speaking of not mad, that's...
Oh, that's a GT, okay.
I think we may have finally found the incentive Lin needs to go to Kakariko Village.
I'm not sure he's going to still. I think he's gonna keep just aggressively following connectors if he can. He'll end up in Village of Outcasts eventually, right?
Oh, so that is true, and Inkyurem points out that he didn't check the connector on Tower of Hera, and so that actually could be his next play given the book, is to just go back through, get spit out at Floating Island, and walk over to Hera again. And yeah, Andy has the GT big key, but without any items supporting it, it's pretty pointless as an item. I guess he hasn't really checked all the ways out of Old Man yet, so that's going to be his first priority. And yeah, Lin can clear Tower of Hera, and I expect if Lin runs into Tower of Hera in the wild, he'll probably go for it. I don't think he would go out of his way to clear it, since it will require orphaning a chest, but if he finds it, he will probably go. Oh, I thought you meant Tower of Hera with the hookshot. Yeah, no. He needs Fire Source for the gauntlet.
Well, Lin has briefly entered Kakariko Village, and I don't think he'll be staying for very long, since I expect he'll be following Hyrule Castle.
For all of you who really want to know what it's like to have ADHD, please enjoy Lin's route in this seat. But our runners are going to be high-fiving here, Lin going through with Master Sword, Andy going through with bombs. There are some pretty nice bomb strats you can do here, but it's still going to be slower than having a level 2 sword. There's our second pod key that we've seen this seed.
Huh, that is just a bit different from how I do that room with bombs. I'm gonna have to steal that one, Andy. I look pretty snazzy.
So I'm a little sad. Lin does really sweet bomb strats too, but
yeah.
Both of them are going to be very, very, very good at doing this, though, with their experience.
I definitely just blatantly stole Lin's bomb strats for a lot of these rooms. Not a whole lot going on in Hyrule Castle, and as expected, Lin is in fact immediately leaving Kakariko Village to go wherever this leads.
Lin's travel agent really earning their money right now.
This is about what I expected to happen when I saw Lin get Mirror and Pearl early.
As a player, these are my favorite kind of seeds.
I agree, these are really fun throughout. So many options.
Andy's gonna get spit out of Swamp here too, or at a dam. And yeah, there's not really a concept of a header behind this early, as now Lin will make the first play towards the eastern area, I imagine.
Yeah, this is pretty nice for him. He gets some very nice efficiency here, clearing all this up.
I'll say, and really nicely, knowing that it's so easy to come back here, he's just gonna go straight to pod.
Andy, meanwhile, gets a chance to unorphan the sentence he left behind earlier in favor of Spiral Cave.
I suspect as long as pod is not a connector, Lin will probably do Spiral at the end of this route. If pod is a connector, that's more likely going to be the place, because it's a much more nasty spot to get back to, especially with the flute.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow, Andy getting spit out on Bumper Cave and finding the big key of Skull Woods.
It's a really nice connector.
Yeah, that's a great connector.
This is a less great connector.
Yeah, and so that's a reverse connector, but yeah, we'll see Lin going through Spiral Cave at this point. Which Lin will actually probably find more annoying than anything else where it spits out, since he'd like to get there in the Dark World first.
Yeah.
I would say, and the bumper cave ends up not mattering because it's the opposite side of the bumper cave that you can just hookshot through. So that cape is not really going to have much of a difference. That glove's going to feel real good here, though. And yeah, both of these runners can hover.
That glove is definitely the thing Andy needed to swing back into this, to kind of offset all the items Lin has found over him.
And also remember that Lin doesn't have the information that Andy does about the hammer.
Yeah.
As Andy does some mirror bonking here. He's gonna get the nothing offset kid and probably just save and quit out. Yeah. Lin now sitting there with a glut of options. I mean, both runners really with a complete glut of options. So Andy has everything he needs to do any check in the game that isn't bits locked or boots locked. Lin, meanwhile, still missing those gloves, but it's probably going to be on his route.
I imagine he'll get to it eventually, but it might take a while. It's kind of an awkward spot for him now.
Yeah, I think he'll basically, once he decides he wants to clear the rest of the eastern area, which he will probably also parlay into, he'll probably spit himself out at Hyrule Castle, walk down to 5, and would be planning on coming back towards the pyramid, but will likely just go through Bumper Cave instead.
Yeah, he can also just float there now, once he actually gets around to activating it.
So I'm not sure I've ever seen a flute treated so callously. But such is the way of the Mirror Moon Pearl seed.
In my last Crosskey seed, I got the flute at like 140 and I never activated it.
That tells you how desperate Lin is to double clear the world. This is probably the worst connector in the game to ever have to go through.
Yeah. Well, Lin's sticking to his guns though, I respect it.
Oh yeah, total respect for it. I was like, unfortunately, the only connector we've seen that'll take him to the area that he wants to go is not in an area he's likely to go to anytime soon.
Yeah,
unless he says, I'm going to do Autumn Eastern first.
Is catching up on some of the things Lin found earlier.
That's not particularly useful since we already had a way there. Although, that's really nice to find, is Hookshot Cave, which Lin will be able to get all 4 items in. And is going to spit him out somewhere else as another connector. And if Lin has been really good, it will spit him out somewhere he wants to be, like the Dark World.
These are definitely some very nice connector chains.
And we now have every single big key that no one actually cares about finding. That's not true, we don't have the Tower of Terror big key yet. As Lin is spit out here, so the back of
all roads lead to the desert,
helpful.
apparently.
Yeah, that's not what you love to see.
Andy getting his hammer, though. It's very, very nice to have.
Yeah, that's a pretty good thing to find.
Oh, is it happening? Is Lin checking entrances in Kakariko Village?
Is this even allowed?
I don't think so.
Alright, I'm gonna have to call in a tournament administrator because I'm really not sure he's allowed to do this. I'll say Andy, meanwhile, gonna check this entrance, which Lin has already been spit out of. I was saying the one thing I will say is that flute might prompt Lin to go to 5 relatively quickly, which would take him straight to the Bumper Cave area.
Andy's setting up a save scum here on the right side desert, which is going to cost him a bit of time since Lin just has the key.
Yes, and especially if it's not anything useful, since Andy will probably just hard reset after he checks his entrances.
This is gonna give Andy some time to catch up on a bunch of random garbage Lin's done though, while Lin clears out Kakariko Village like a sensible person.
Yep, and nothing on the east side of Desert Palace. Man, Lin, what happened to you? You used to be cool.
Man, Lin got absolutely demolished in Hotel Mario Percent. Good god.
Yeah.
Like 25 minutes.
I can't believe a finalist would put such a pathetic showing out there in such an important category. Meanwhile, Andy coming back through and is going to check the left side of Desert. What was down? There was a big key down there on Desert Ledge, right?
Yeah, it was Swamp Palace, I think.
I'll be intrigued to see if Andy scums away Desert or not. Because this is kind of annoying to get to, so you don't really want to have to do that. Unfortunately, no hammer for Lin. And you can kind of see on Andy's player cam that he's not super thrilled about finding that.
Yeah, we do also get to see this entrance check from Andy since Lin does not have the glove.
But it is nothing.
Andy does scum away that swamped big key.
So if that ends up being something, I mean, that's... Until I suspect Andy has Mitts and Flute, we probably won't see him pick up that key, unless he's really out of options.
Yeah.
Because that's a slow entrance to get to. Then meanwhile is going to avail himself of 2 items in Turtle Rock, and then probably check the connector to see where the left side goes.
And there's our lamp and Swamp small key in the back of Escape. It's a nice find.
Between the 2 runners, they're flippers short of being able to clear Swamp, you know, once they find the Swamp and the dam.
Yeah, there are those little things.
They're not willing to give up the key here. Pretty understandable at this juncture with 1 key. It's not particularly difficult to clear with Master Sword.
Andy running down here, giving us our first look at the Ice Shard Cave area, which is, again, it's a minor time loss because Lin does have the flute.
Oh, so now that he doesn't have the flute, he probably won't head down there until he can swim there anyway.
But this is kind of what we were talking about with their very different routing styles. Andy does a lot more of these aggressive plays, while Lin generally tries to hold off to maximize his efficiency.
So Andy can... There's Tower of Hera, and Andy has the ability to... See if he goes to 5. Nope, goes back to 3. I would say 5 would be the best place for Lin to go, even though he doesn't know it yet. And completely understandable that he wouldn't, given he still hasn't checked out the upper side of Kakariko Village. Let's see if Andy is going to make his way towards Hera. Unless this is a big key, is not going to be able to clear it while he's here, though. Meanwhile, Lin, as soon as he finds it, will probably just be able to clear the dungeon. Just enjoying how different people can be at the seeds. I'm pretty sure those were the first rupees Andy got in the seed in that waterfall cave, and Lin just picked them up at 33 minutes in.
Yeah, it's very fascinating how
differently people can route. in this
Hookshot is
mode.
in Mini Moldorm Cave, which is on the left side of, or is on West Death Mountain, which is fully logically accessible right now. Yeah, now that he has the flute, it's a lot easier for Lin to come back to Agina. Yes, Unwrap, that is correct. But yeah, most of Lin's item lead right now is coming from having done West Death Mountain, where Andy did not. Dorito, this is a best of 5, but Andy, as the winner's bracket champion, is starting with a 1-0 lead in the series. This is a nice
Andy.
connector.
Andy now going for a fake flipper play here.
Yeah, notably does not have any of the items that would make it easy to use Splash Deletion to Ancilla, but is still obviously able to fake flipper from the normal spot. Lin, if he does this play, is more likely to come in with the bow. But we'll see. Lin gonna check Ether Tablet and probably follow this connector out of Hera, which he left behind earlier. Fake flipper play, not showing anything yet. I was saying, yeah, lamp is not a luxury because early fire sources can be very, very important, especially if you're in a position where you can clear land mount early, or if you're thinking about diving Misery Mire, you want to be able to do the left side. Or it can allow you to climb GT, or if you feel like sequence breaking, you can do the right side of GT without it. That's interesting, and actually fully in logic to check this entrance without flippers. I've never had the seed where this entrance has flippers, but I really want the seed where that entrance has flippers.
I think I did once.
I was saying this is the Ancilla Splash Deletion that we were talking about before. Using the bow and some bombs, Lin overloads the Ancilla slots, and so the game cannot draw the splash animation. And so, because it can't draw the splash animation, it decides, you know what, I bet you can just swim in the water. Because that's how programming works. I promise you an intern wrote that and commented with, "This should never happen." Meanwhile, not a lot to be excited about at Zora. So these flip checks not really paying off. Lin only really going after this one because he got spat out there. Makes sense, he has so much in logic, it doesn't necessarily make sense to chase out of logic things. Saying thank you, Romer, for giving out 5 gift subs here. Then meanwhile is now going to go back to the right side of Hyrule Castle, and likely is going to end up following Bumper Cave, although we'll see, he may decide that he wants to go down towards the pyramid instead. But I suspect checking the flute spots is likely going to be his play here.
Given that he's already been spat out on top of Hyrule Castle, I don't think he's going to prioritize the pyramid.
And without a glove. If he had a glove, he might make the play as part of going to Catfish, Dark Potion Shop, Dark Shopping Mall, Ice Rod Cave, etc. But
yeah.
Unwrap, the other sword was just on top of Spectacle Rock. They're both in West Death Mountain. So Lin thinks he sees bad news here, but he's going to be real happy when he walks through this connector. Or he's going to be really upset that he... Oh, no! He's going to hold off. That's...
Well, he can just float back there whenever, so... I can understand the decision. Yeah, I'm glad Allison can remember things, because I can't.
I was say, I have a great memory unless it comes to anything to do with the seed I'm playing. That I am a literal goldfish.
It's a mode.
Okay, so Lin sees that that's going to be the front of the old man cave and has no desire to jump down. Even if you do fall down, there is a way you can fall into a pit and still get out. But Lin, no rush for that, is going to grab the pyramid item, and I would guess probably just flute back to 5 to see where that connector goes and get the good news.
Seems likely. Curious to see where Andy goes after this, because he does have access to regular Dark World portals, so he does have some options there over in the west side of the map.
Yeah, though he did just pick up the flute, so he also knows that he can get to Bumper Cave super easily now.
Yeah, that is true.
Alright, nothing particularly exciting here for Lin, other than the ability to play his flute and head to 5.
Yeah, and he does also have the option of fluting to Death Mountain, which is a lot of stuff. And this will likely result in Lin getting his glove, so we'll probably have our owners mostly evened out on stuff shortly.
Yeah, with just how easy it is to get back to Bumper Cave, I can't imagine Lin won't follow it here. Even not having, really?
That is
a little surprising to me.
Surprising, yeah. I would expect him to follow that.
So the one thing I will say is that you've got effectively 3 spots in every seed that you want to find connectors to. Bumper Cave, Floating Island, and the bridge on the laser bridge by Total Rock. Not laser bridge, the one that goes from left to right Total Rock. Lin knows he's found 2 of 3 of them, and he knows he's going to be in a spot that is very, very high value for him. The other one that you sometimes want to find is Passage to Misery Mire, but that does not always exist, and so connectors have diminished somewhat in value for Lin. This does mean, however, he's likely to not get his glove for at least a while here. Excuse me, I need to spam out the chat a little bit with some cats jamming.
Zelga, I don't know what those words mean, but I will fight you anyway.
Zelga, I fought you enough, no more please.
See, I'm an uncultured pleb who's only played the first Ace Attorney game. So...
I've only played the trilogy on Switch, so I'm not even sure I can talk. I agree though, this music's awesome.
It is pretty good.
Andy finally making his way to West Death Mountain, so he's going to pick up most of what Lin has over him.
Yeah, he'll be getting his swords, and the hook shot up here. I think the bow was here too. Yeah.
I'm a little surprised Andy didn't grab that sword, actually. Because you actually can do that with the old man. And that way, instead of having issues with dead rocks being in your way, although the RNG lined up pretty nicely for him, as it were.
Now, interestingly, Lin does have one more Palace of Darkness multi than Andy did, so he can go into the back here.
And I would expect to see Lin clear out the 5 chests that he can get in the back here.
Looks like he is going to at least get these 3. He might not hammer jump into the Dark Maze. It's a play I'm sort of fond of, and I've seen Lin do as well.
I feel like I always see Lin hammer jump into the Dark Maze. I know you don't, but I feel like Lin does.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm expecting him to, but I can see him not doing so. Yeah, he's going back up, so he is going for it.
So that means that Andy does have the book his first time up, and so he gets to do this in one play. with a nice quick hammer jump setup. This would be a great chance for a mod to abuse their power and ban Homestead, by the way.
Same.
Lynn gonna finish off the Dark Maze here and bail. Alright, so nothing in the back of Pod that Andy missed.
And nothing in that Mimic Cave that Link couldn't get either, so... Nothing too exciting going on. Just
I mean, I'm not particularly surprised to not be finding progression right now. There's a lot of stuff open for our runners right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Aghanim will probably remain unkilled. I don't think they want a blue potion that badly.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I gotta
Lynn's gonna
say
feel
though,
real bad about his glove real soon, though.
yeah. The prospect of Aghanim for first bottle for sick kid progression is pretty amusing, but we do have a bottle already, so...
I don't find seeds like that funny after my qualifier seed in Crosskeys tournament last year. Where the only logically available bottle was at Hype Cave at Swamp Palace that you had to walk through the entire Dark World for. So that you could go to Dark Lumberjack to get your Moon Pearl from Sick Kid. Or, you know, if you're good at the game, you could just hover and get your bottle from Hookshot Cave.
Imagine being
Make
good
sure to
at the
ping
game.
Racing Council, everybody. And yeah, Jigglish, I would not be surprised. If there is a second glove out there that is not glove locked, it would be completely unsurprising to see Lynn find it before Andy.
And it's also probably the best possible thing he could find.
So we're gonna get our first check on Graveyard Ledge here. Andy, meanwhile, gonna pick up a lot of the stuff he's missing in this mini Moldarm Cave. One of the swords and the hookshot, and I think something else too.
Sword, hookshot, bow, I think we're all in
Oh
here.
yeah, and the bow. God.
And that's monkey, apparently. Oh, Incoherent, was that the one with Pod in the Pyramid Fairy entrance with Vanilla Hammer? Because I played that one was amazing.
I remember that seed. That seed was pretty excellent.
I actually killed Aga because I couldn't be bothered to do the bomb dupe and I still got third somehow.
Fortunately for Lynn, none of this stuff he's finding looking like it's particularly the way to go. Honestly, I kind of think that the best thing that could happen for Lynn is he falls into a bullshit Skull Woods and then uses that as the opportunity to go through Bumper Cave.
That would be kind of funny. I'm not really expecting him to go into Skullwoods though.
On the other hand, this is a pretty nice find.
Yeah, you never say no to laser bits.
The cave wasn't Pod. Lynn should have it, right?
I think.
I thought that cave was in Pod. Did someone lie to me and
Oh
make
no,
me
it
feel bad
was
for no
it
reason?
was in Sawhouse Closet. That's right, which is in the
Oh,
back
no,
of
no,
Sawhouse
I've gotten it
Woods.
wrong twice. That's what happened.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess maybe he will go into Skullwoods actually because he hasn't checked Lost Woods.
Yeah. Lynn with the very classic 48-minute Lost Woods play coming here. Andy, meanwhile, heading around in the Dark World.
Yeah, it took a while, but our runners are finally starting to explore the Dark World a bit more thoroughly.
Yeah, apparently there's an entire world of this game that isn't in the light. Weird, who knew?
And now we're both in Skullwoods, sort of.
I mean, if you think about it, isn't Skullwoods more of a state of mind?
I don't even know what that means.
That's okay, Lynn has silvers now. And yeah, the Skullwoods music in this pack is legitimately just sick. I
It's
love
the
both the
skeleton
exterior and the
for it,
interior.
Santa. Not to be confused with the Skullwoods. Very different.
And it is gonna be a bullshit woods. We'll see if Lynn wants to fall in or not. He doesn't have the fire rod, but he does have the big key. That probably makes it a little more tempting. Oh, and yep. So this is gonna lock Lynn out of the rest of the Dark World for a little bit.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
might
this-
end up being for the best though. Oh, hello.
Ooh.
That has some potential.
That is the full tool set. Say, is Lynn gonna reset his spot so he can mirror out more easily? That has the potential to give you a full clear of Swamp Palace if we can find the two entrances.
Yeah.
And yeah, anything that brings Lynn back to 5 is going to be the best play he can make. He'll grab this vanilla key here. In entrance, this key is still fixed to be vanilla all the time, and honestly, it's better than actually needing the key. Or actually, like, being able to check this chest. Skullwood sucks, by the way.
Skullwoods is kind of dumb. Well, we find Blind Sun here on Andy's side. Down at K45, I think that was.
I do believe that is correct. And yeah, you can hook past the spike. It's a little bit precise, but it's... nice little time save. And here is our pet check.
Okay, well, we already knew Turtle Rock was a crystal, but now we super know Turtle Rock is a crystal.
Annoying? Yes. Relevant? Not particularly. Turtle Rock keys are about as unvaluable of items as exist in Crosskeys. But that does mean that pet is logically required.
Man,
no,
Lynn
yeah, sure, that's
finally
not
getting
worrisome
Lost
at all.
Woods checked.
I feel like in the average seed, I probably use maybe 1.5 Turtle Rock small keys. Zelda, I had to do the same thing in my ladder yesterday, so yeah.
I remember there was a seed in last year's Crosskey tournament where you actually needed all 4 Turtle Rock small keys. But generally you only need 1. So unlikely to matter.
You know, thinking of it, I'm actually more surprised that Andy scummed that Desert Palace key back. Given that Desert is a pendant and he knows it.
That is true.
We're gonna see where Lynn's gonna flute back to. I expect 5 is gonna be the answer. Nope. 2. Oh, turn it mushroom, of course. Way to make me look bad, Lynn.
We have not seen the potion shop yet, right?
That is correct. So he will find the potion shop and be able to turn it in at the same time. Alright. The cape won't matter for Lynn with Bumper Cave, but he is going to go through.
Yeah, he's
It's
going
faster
now.
to go through with the hook shot anyway.
Yeah, this does mean Lynn is going to get his glove and subsequently can go get his hammer.
And then our runners will basically be on even footing. Lynn will be up the flippers from Skullwoods.
Yeah, it'll basically just be the difference of Skullwoods versus the Southwest Dark World.
Yeah, Zalga, I would have followed that, I think, but I understand not doing it.
Yeah, I think I would have, but not doing it is an entirely fair play.
As Lin is going to walk into King's Tomb and will find the prize that he seeks. And yes, Lin has gotten that information now. And he has Tempered and he has a Fire Source, but neither of those are things that Lin won't find relatively quickly. And probably will be able to clear the world a little bit more efficiently on the whole. There's El Rocco speaking like a future tournament champion. Doing whatever leads to the most progression. Always a good route.
That is generally my strategy. It works sometimes. I'm kind of bad at it, though.
Lin wastes no time going for the hammer. Meanwhile, there is a big key to Tower of Hera locks big key to Tower of Hera. I mean hookshot. I mean big key to Tower of Hera.
We are getting our first look here at the GT basement, though, which, as is normally the case, will probably have a lot of progression.
Yeah. We'll hopefully at least have something for Andy. He is leaving the map chest. Kind of foobars the boomerang hookshot interchange a little bit. In case you're wondering, that is not how you do that. That's a little better. Exactly, the Boing King's key to Tower of Hera.
Why'd you at me?
Because I know how much it hurt you when I made that joke on my stream.
Yeah, Incoherent. Fun story about that. When Drac and I were doing a Crosskeys test race with the accessible rule set, just to kind of try it out, we had a seed where both of us were hookshot, or well, both of us were Hera big key for go mode at the hour mark, and we would have gotten like a 110 in Crosskeys. But no, we had to go look for the Hera big key because we weren't allowed to Hera bot.
Accessible being a test rule set that blocks off most common sequence break glitches that aren't just pure time saves. Ooh.
There's the dam.
I mean, we were testing it, like... You know what you're getting into when you're testing stuff. GT Big Chest, not really anything. A little surprised Andy didn't do map chest on the way through. Feels like it kind of would have been a no-harm play at this point.
Yeah, Zelda, it's a little bit depressing.
But he doesn't have the ability to do right side. He doesn't have Kina Samaria.
So, Hera Big Key, I think, was the only thing of note Andy found in Ganon's Tower.
I'm having a nasty flashback to my ladder seed last night, where my opponent got the gift
going
the
for
basement.
it. That's why he saved the key. He's making the play. Okay.
This is a hashtag LCS big play right here. So this is often something that people save as kind of their last resort play. And Andy says, no, I'm going for it. The well is behind Agatu, so it's a more defensible play than it normally is.
Yeah, it's 9 items. This is not an unreasonable play to make for sure.
That being said, I'm more inclined to think Swamp Palace is going to be the play.
Incoherent, I don't want to talk about Season 4 Zooter. It's a disaster.
Yeah, if you play Zooter, make sure to let people know that the Season 4 test settings are terrible so that we don't actually get stuck with them. Thank you, that's all.
Back to the point, though.
Look, I'm doing some important community building, alright? So it is 9 out of logic, but at least the first 2 items are completely in logic with no keys.
Yeah, this is 9 items up here. But a lot of them are pretty far out of logic.
Yeah, if there's something here, it's either going to be in Mini Helmosaur Room, or it's going to be something that's going to feel significantly longer down the logic chain.
Yeah, this is... It's not a bad play, but it's not one I would have made this early, but I respect the decision.
Oh, do it, Lin. Hold on. Alright, so remember we said how Lin's routing can kind of trip you up sometimes? This is exactly what we're talking about. So Lin right now is doing a portal save in Spike Cave. So what he's going to do is he's going to run through Spike Cave and then kill himself afterwards, but he'll have preserved his portal there so that he can just easily get back exactly to where he was in Dark World. Really cool little things that you see like this that you don't usually get to use outside of Crosskeys, so most runners don't really develop this skill. Wow, Andy missing the triple with the bow. Has he even played this game?
Nah, pretty sure Andy's a new player, actually.
It's really impressive to see a Cinderella story, just seeing an unknown player like Andy come out of the tournament and do this well.
Yep. Also, I have definitely not been paying attention at all to what's been in Village of Outcasts, so...
There was Aga Tower, Lin cleared the 2 items there, there was nothing, I think. But yeah, I'll confess that I'm also watching the Tower climb. Alright, so if there's something in logic, it's gonna be here.
All of
small
Andy's
keys.
It's in logic, it's just he doesn't have enough keys to logically access anything beyond
So
the...
this room requires 0 small keys, and there's bombos, which is potentially interesting.
We have not seen Ice Palace yet.
And we haven't seen Ice Fire Run.
Yeah.
However, you need 3 small keys for this chest that Andy's doing right now, and you need 4 small keys to beat the dungeon and get to Validation Chest. Notable that Bombos does lock the Turtle Rock entrance.
That is true. Wait, no, it was Ether. Wasn't it? I think it was Ether.
Oh yeah, that's right, sorry, we originally marked it as Bombos. And then we fixed it. Look, Ether and Bombos sound the same in my accent.
What?
Imagine trying to argue with me. I'm gonna beat you with sheer stupidity every time.
I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm trying to comprehend what you just said.
Alright, yep, so Andy doesn't lose anything for the map skip. Andy has clearly been taking Aga 2 lessons from me here.
Better than mine.
Kraid, the lamp was in the back of Escape, which Lin is probably going to hit relatively soon in his route.
I would expect as much. It is kind of awkward though, because he can't really leave a portal behind anywhere to do that. So he'll probably just do it on his next save quit.
Yep.
The only thing
I
at the
feel
top
kind of
of
bad
the
about
map
Swamp Palace, though.
was that Bombos, but we'll see if there's anything of note here in the well.
So I think this is the more intriguing spot. Because if it's something, if the Bombos is required, it's more likely to be, needed early, given the key placement, whereas something here could be the last item in the game you're supposed to get. I did notice you did 5 wells there, DH. Uh-oh! Hold on. Where was that prophet earlier in chat?
Well. That's a play.
Someone said it's a big gamble until... There we go. Acids Rain 30, and I quote, "This isn't the play till he finds Fire Rod and boots." Lin, of course, not going to climb, but that's a massive play from Indy.
Yeah, that is a pretty huge swing potentially. And I believe there was a pendant over at Eastern Palace and a crystal at Tower of Hera on the side.
Okay, and Turtle Rock is a crystal, and Ice Palace we don't know yet, but both sources in Ice Palace are up there. Which does mean that Lin might actually be a little more limited in what he can do than normal. Zero Rush with a great point. Andy is still down the silver arrows, which notably take at least 17 or which notably save at least 17 years on Ganon.
Andy making the Skullwoods play, looks like. So he'll be getting his flippers.
Silvers are in the big key chest in Skullwoods. And flippers are in the big chest of Skullwoods. Does Andy not have the Skullwoods big key? Andy does have the Skullwoods big key, he doesn't have the Swamp Palace big key.
Oh, he's not going into Skullwoods.
Andy Lin's definitely not dead in the water, guys.
Yeah, no.
Like, Andy made a huge high variance play that just paid out massively for him. And it's definitely swung the race in favor of him, but...
The boots are definitely going to gain him back sometime, but I do still think Lin has cleared out more of the overworld, so... It's...
And
I would more so say that the well play evened the race out rather than swinging it in Andy's favor.
Yeah, and I think it's going to depend on just how averted Lin is to making that GD climb. That being said, with 9 items, it's going to be a pretty tempting play.
Yeah, and our last pendant is Swamp Palace, of course, the dungeon we have all the items for.
That checks out.
Yeah, I think... Obviously, the longer Lin puts off the GT climb, the more of an advantage Andy's going to get for it. But for the moment, I don't think it's game-winning by itself.
The boots do notably save 2 minutes for every minute you have them, so... Lin is using
I thought it was 10 hours per minute.
No, they got nerfed in the most recent patch. It's only 2 minutes per minute now.
Alright, that makes sense.
I'll say, but notice here, Andy didn't bother setting up a portal, so he's either going to save and quit, or more likely, I expect he's actually going to try to run out of the dungeon, or run out of Spike Cave. Also, shout out to that lovely dialogue that we had about how the lamp is just a luxury item unless it locks the fire rod. Lots of good predictions coming from chat today.
Yeah. We're finally getting a look at these two stupid entrances down here on Lin's End that somehow nobody has checked yet, I'm pretty sure.
I think under the rock is Swamp Palace. I believe Andy checked this.
Did he? Maybe he did. Oh yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
So Lin's gonna get the first item here, and will be kind of irritated when he gets his Swamp Key, probably right after this.
I would expect he's gonna save and check back of escape relatively soon.
Yeah, I actually kind of expected it there. But I guess he still has more Dark World stuff here to go first.
I guess he's probably gonna go over to Dark Shopping Mall Catfish and then save it from Sora. I don't think
Yeah, Lin had no chance to do the top of GT. Like, there wasn't even a choice for him. But he is obviously going to have to go back there to get his either Bombos or Fire Rod, and also his Fire Rod for Trinex. Zartan, the lamp along with the Swamp Palace small key is just sitting in the back of Escape, which we suspect Lin will be grabbing his next save equip. Lin has found 2 GT small keys, so he should have enough to climb.
Yeah, he has a key left over. He should be able to climb the tower. He just needs the lamp.
2 is enough to 100% full clear, as long as you can do right side before you do both left in the climb. So he would need a 3rd key to go back to right side afterwards, or he'll need the sequence break, both of which are very possible. Lin did map chest, but he also had an extra GT key.
Now, interestingly, Andy does have the Fire Rod here, so he will get to check this entrance in the back of Skullwoods, which Lin could not.
Yeah, and in fact, that probably made Andy more likely to come up here.
Yeah, I agreed.
You can't do red side without Fire Rod or Lamp, but you can do it with just Lamp and Hookshot. And without Cane of Samire, you cannot do Tile Room. Well, Lin now has the option to go to the back of Escape in 2 different ways.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll get around to it eventually.
Yep. He's gonna do Dark Shopping Mall first, though.
Oh.
And he is likely gonna...
Did not open the Skullwoods big chest.
Did he forget he has the big key?
Yeah, it's not marked on his tracker. He very well could have. That could be bad.
It could also be meaningless, though, depending on whether there's progression in Swamp Palace, because it is the last pendant.
Yeah, that's true. We find some random small keys and Pipe Cave in the back of Skullwoods. Thieves Town being the most notable.
It is a nice find, though. And one that will probably inspire Lin to check entrances a little bit more aggressively, knowing that there's a 5-item cave out there still.
And here's Eastern Palace.
You know, I was going to say that Lin was going to be the first person to get a dungeon prize this seed, and I thought I was right. But I thought he was going to complete Hera when he was here. Instead, he just decided to find Eastern.
Well, he'll do both, I'm sure.
Lin devastated to discover he doesn't have any invulnerability items. Did he not get the cape? No, he did get the cape from Saha. Lin not using quick swap to cape dash through the Eastern Palace cannonballs. I don't even know why I watched him.
He doesn't have the boots.
That's a great point. Lin should discover a fake boots glitch and then use it. I'll say, Zarsan, I definitely think there's a chance that's what happened. That when Andy scummed the Swamp Palace big key, he thought he scummed the Skullwoods big key, although he has neither of them marked. No, he definitely has the Skullwoods big key. It was on Bumper Cave.
Yeah. He probably just forgot to check it because there was a lot going on at that time.
He has actually found a Skullwood small key, though. Like, 1 is the correct number of his Skullwood small keys.
And
There's the one that's always vanilla. There's the big key of desert.
Okay.
Oh, well.
That Turtle Rock ball keeps looking real good.
Can't wait for that lovely, lovely 4th GT small key, somewhere 4 key locked in Turtle Rock. Has Lin made the Zora play yet? I don't think so, right?
No, I don't.
So I suspect what we're going to see Lin do is he's going to clean out this area here. He'll beat Eastern, he'll beat Hera. Then he's going to jump into the water, go into the whirlpool, and grab Dark Potion Shop, Catfish, Mirror, grab the Zora checks, and then he'll save and quit from there.
Yeah, and that is probably when he'll check the back escape. Honestly, I suspect he might just go straight to Swamp Palace after that.
I would believe that.
And meanwhile, getting all this Northern Dark World garbage cleared out. Mostly to no avail, but
Yeah, I don't remember there being anything here.
yeah, I don't think there was anything too significant up here.
Then playing some echolocation games here with the Iors. Didn't they ban fake clippers?
I think so, yes, pretty sure.
I think if Andy pulled out fake clippers in this race, I'd have something else to deal with beyond the fact that it would be funny.
Andy now looks like he's making that Tower of Hera play.
So
And I
nothing in
suspect
the
Lin
Eastern.
will also be making the Hera play. Was a Desert Big Key in Eastern, which does block 3 items.
Yes, so nothing actually required in Eastern. However, the Desert Big Key may be required. So you will notice, like, Andy's making up good chunks of time because of the boots. But at the same time, he's going to have to come back here for Dark Shopping Mall if he ever needs that Desert Key, and he might just have to come back here for Dark Shopping Mall anyway if he's looking around for stuff. So, like, he is losing some efficiency that he could get otherwise. Fake clippers is a glitch for dumb people. That's all I'll say. If you actually try to use that in a race, I have no words for you.
Same.
Lin getting sub-pixel wrecked there. So I think he got the right pixel at the very end, but he'd done 2 steps to the right, and so it failed. That looks good. Yep. Dude, if Andy were to pull up Bunny's pocket, I would go fucking nuts.
I don't even remember how to do that. So,
It's so unapplicable. I would go nuts. Alright, more pod keys.
and we're finally starting to see some bosses fall here. On both sides.
The boots and the fire rod are both in the well behind Aga 2 in the pyramid drop.
Alright, that does get you into Turtle Rock. You know, once you have the mitts. Yep, Andy finding fake bombos on Mothula. Say Lin continuing his route. So Andy finds
Ice Palace.
Ice Palace.
Very, very locked behind the GT climb.
Well, there were 3 items on the GT climb: the boots, bombos, and fire rod, and you need 2 of the 3 of them to unlock Ice Palace. Yeah, I think that's the most boots-locked Ice Palace I have ever seen. Yeah, I suspect we will not be finding any Ganon's Tower keys in Ice Palace.
I believe that is likely to be correct.
Look, if you have the bombos and fire rod in the seat and don't have the boots, I'm not sure what to tell you. You made some mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Andy 100% has the Skullwood's big key. It was basically unmissable.
Yeah, it was just, there was a lot going on at the time when he got it, so he probably just forgot to track it.
I'll say Lin, remember, already has been spat out of Waterfall Ferry, so did not need to go there to check it. I would be very surprised if we saw Lin make the play to GT before Swamp Palace, personally.
Yeah, I assume Lin is going to save and quit after Zora, and will get his lamp and Swamp Smolky. And then he will probably go to Swamp Palace.
I'll say yeah, and I suspect if Swamp Palace is required, Lin will be ahead. If not, Andy will be ahead from the sheer audacity of his GT climb combined with the sheer luck of missing unnecessary flippers. I'm thinking it with you, Daze. That's exactly what I've been thinking this entire time.
Yeah, it is rather likely. Well, they have 3 keys, actually.
Yeah, there was only 1 in there. Don't forget about a completely useless Quake. That's going to be there too.
And they got that Ice Big Key now, so he could very likely go to Ice Palace next. No Cane of Samaria, but still pretty
it's
nice.
And it's not particularly out of logic anymore since he's up to 3 GT keys. I'll say, yeah, I mean, I think Ice Rod would be ideal for Lin. Basically, he wants something that isn't going to block Andy, because he wants Andy to not realize that he has the Skullwood's big key and miss the flippers.
Ice Rod or Thief Stamp Big Key would be very nice for Lin.
Cane of Samaria would also be really nice for Lin.
Yeah, although that does block more stuff for Andy.
It does, but it also might incentivize Lin to make the GT climb earlier.
That is true. Of course, Andy right now is hoping that Swamp Palace contains absolutely nothing. I don't know, Zelda. I like my pasta with a bit more spice.
That's actually surprising. You've always struck me as somebody who likes plainly spiced things. Also, I agree, Zelda. I think that's a great pasta. Zelda, can you just rename yourself Ace Attorney Encyclopedia at this point? Ah, yes, this is 2001 Nocturne, of course.
Is that warp to the Shadow Temple?
No, it warps you to the jail temple. Not my best work, sorry.
What?
I'm busy reading Andy's chat to see if they're actually freaking out or not.
Yeah, JFE, this is the fastest Swamp Palace route.
Yep,
If
this is
you're intending to
absolutely the correct full clear Swamp Palace route.
If you're intending to do left side swamp no matter what, this is the correct route, for sure. Turtle Rock, Big Key, and Ice Palace. One item closer.
Oh, I know, I'm just enjoying the people who are spamming oh no emotes. But no, nothing has been in Swamp yet.
What do we actually need at this point? We need the Pod Big Key, the Thieves' Thumb Big Key, the
Ice
Cane
Rod.
of Moria, and the Ice Rod.
I think that's it, yeah. Well, the annoying part for Lin, too, is that it's 100% logically required to pull ped. So the logic reads in the seed are going to be at least a little bit unreliable. If there were enough of them, yeah, but I'm also pretty sure Andy isn't actually reading chat. Yep, Zero Rush, you're 100% right. Andy is really going to be in a world of hurt without that bottle below Lumberjack. Turtle Rock Small Key is on pet, so logically required, but utterly meaningless.
And we find the wrong cane in Ice Palace.
Lin fans starting to get real nervous right now. I was saying, Swamp Palace empty, it's not uh-oh.
Doesn't look so empty to me.
That looks important.
Yeah, that might be a problem for our Pug Boy. Now, I do think that once Andy runs out of spots, he's gonna figure out what he's missed pretty quick. Because the thing you do is open your menu and check if there's anything you have that you don't realize you have.
But it does mean he will almost certainly last location with slippers.
Yes.
So we actually see Lin just immediately follow this play by beating Thieves Town.
Yeah, I expect him to go straight to Thieves. It's really close by, too.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, you really want boots for Thieves Town. But
Zero Rush, to be fair, Andy has already been in Skullwoods and doesn't realize he has the Skullwoods Big Key. It's not just a matter of going to Skullwoods.
he literally mismarked his tracker. and doesn't think he has the item. Because Andy has a bag of holding. It was his gift for winning the tournament. The flippers are in Skullwood's big chest, and as near as we can tell, are only required for the Thieves' Town big key.
And then not going straight to Thieves' Town, opting to follow this connector first.
Yeah, a little surprising, but
But I guess it's really easy to get back.
Andy had Skull Big, but said thought he did not have Skull Big, therefore did not check it.
I mean,
Oh, so I mean,
ultimately, it's gonna come down to Andy running out of spots and checking his menu and realizing he has Skullwood's big key, most likely. He is gaining time right now, though, off of having these boots. So if he runs out of spots before Lynn finds all the items, then it won't take him long to figure out what he missed.
And yes, he does need to just check his menu, but there's not really a reason he's going to be rushing doing that.
I will be very surprised if Andy realizes he has the Skullwood's big key before he runs out of locations in the game that aren't the Skullwood's big chest. It's a matter of can he do that fast enough.
See the play Lynn making now. Is it Castle? Oh, it's Meyer. Okay, makes sense. So I'm a little surprised to see him do this before doing the full clearable Thieves' Town. But oh, he doesn't have the small key. Never mind. That makes more sense. Andy's the one who picked up Thieves' Town small key.
Where was the Thieves' Town small? Oh yeah, right. It was in Height Cave in the back of Skull. Yeah, that might be wild. I mean, if you pause the game, which with quick swap on you don't do very often, you still need to actually notice that you have the Skullwood's big key, and that's not really what you're looking at. So, I don't know. I'm not expecting it to happen. It might. Ultimately, though, when it does happen, or when he runs out of spots, he's going to realize pretty quickly, I think. There's our Ice Rod in Misery Mire.
Still 2 small keys out of logic, not that anyone cares, but does sort of fit into the theory that Trinex is probably not going to be locking much. A theory I already kind of believed given the location of the 4th Turtle Rock key.
Yeah.
Ice Rod was in the last chest Lynn just opened in Misery Mire.
So what it looks like now is this race is basically just going to come down to if Lynn climbs GT before Andy realizes he has the Skullwood's big key and goes back for that. It's kind of what it's looking like. Of course, that entirely depends on where the Cane of Samaria and Pod big keys end up. Okay, hold on a second. There's our last GT small key, but we only have 1 Misery Mire small key.
So yeah, that is good for Lynn, but he's also going to say, hey, that's out of logic, so clearly nothing behind the climb is super important until I have that. That being said, I mean, Lynn's going to be looking to make the most efficient play anyway. I suspect he probably does Thieves' Town before he climbs.
I expect Lynn will probably climb soon-ish.
Yeah, I agree.
here's Andy also making the play into Misery Mire.
Yeah, I don't think Lin has much in the way of anything left other than GT and Thieves Town. And GT only, he has the back of Skullwoods, and and only one item in Thieves Town is in Logic right now.
Yeah, he does know that Height Cave is left out there somewhere, but he might just write that off since he doesn't have access to the Mire area and he could easily just be against locked. Well, there's our second Misery Mire key.
Wow, Misery Mire key and Misery Mire. I've never seen that happen before.
Oh yeah, and we also have then Almost, that's a thing we can do. It's kind of hard to say who's in the lead. Andy climbed GT, which got him the boots and the fire rod, but Andy also... And Lin's going for the climb. Now I would say Lin is in the lead. Andy accidentally skipped the big chest in Skullwoods, which contains the flippers. So... it's a matter of when he realizes that is a thing that has happened. But I would say with Lin going for the GT climb now, he is in the lead.
I mean, even without the mistrack, like, Lin wouldn't be particularly far behind at this point. He's been very, like, even missing the boots, he's been very, very efficient in his routing and has gotten a lot done. As Andy shows off a nice little door state extension there in Mire.
I suspect if Andy hadn't mistracked, the race would look very similar right now, except Andy would be in Swamp instead of Mire right now. But yes, there is a chance that Andy's go mode is Thieves Town Big Key and he ends up avoiding left side Swamp and Argus, which would save him some time back.
I mean, even if Andy loses this one, it's still a tied series. Like, this isn't the end by any means.
Yeah. And at this point, I don't really know how much we have left open, but it's not much. I feel like there's a pretty distinct possibility that there's gonna be something in Thieves Town, like the King of Samaria.
Yeah, especially given that we know that the Thieves Town small key is out there. Like, Thieves Town does seem like the play the game wants them to make right now.
Andy is running out of options though. He's down to a few really awkward plays. Yeah, Jake Hopper. Between the two of them, I think the most likely next logical step is Thieves Town. I think the King of Samaria is going to be in there.
Yeah, the other option would be Lanmo and Sahasrara. Lin passing the intelligence check and remembering to light the torch on the bottom.
Womp. Womp.
Unfortunately, that happened.
Andy has the Thieves Town small key. Just not marked on the tracker, I guess. But he definitely picked it up.
Do they need the mitts? Not necessarily, but they might.
We've found every dungeon entrance. So, I mean, we found all the 5 item caves, so it's pretty unlikely we need the mitts.
Yeah, there's nothing like screaming out there, and luckily Lin will have no temptation to leave since that Bombos does nothing for him. Not that I would expect him to bail at this point, but if he feels behind, you never know. Oh, so we are still missing the potion shop, and we do have that mushroom.
Thieves' Dump Big Key was in Swamp Palace.
Yeah, I agree that Kane is the thing that opens the most things at this point.
Not sure what Andy's doing now.
Yes, we need Podbig, we need Kane of Samaria.
Ah, splash deleting, okay.
I would say, is his index okay? I thought he... Oh wait, no, he isn't in Armos Knights. I don't think he's shot enough yet. Either way, Andy gives up on the splash deletion there. No, he has to hard reset his emulator, but he could do that if he wanted to.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, hard his console, but yes.
Not all of us are emulator plebs.
Yep. Andy going back to GT for the map chest. Yeah, so he's on the dregs of stuff now.
Yeah, he's running real low. He'll probably realize he's forgotten something soon, and then he'll probably go back to Skullwoods once he figures it out. And then there'll be... Well, Lin's gonna be ahead by a Swamp Palace clear at that point.
I would say, and Lin has done more, if everything's not just on the way. Like, Lin's behind the Ice Palace, but... Like, he's cleared out all the Dark Shopping Mall area. Like, he's done everything behind Flippers at this point, which Andy hasn't.
Eastern Palace had the Desert Big Key.
I would say, which is another place that we could end up finding necessary progression.
Yeah, Lin did check the Desert Big Chest, but there's still Lenmolas and the Green Pendant behind it that we have not seen. So Eastern Palace could still be required.
I was half wondering if this was going to turn into a Landmo play on the other end. But with the flute it doesn't make as much sense, but this makes a lot of sense from Lin. This might be the Skullwoods play, actually.
Maybe. Oh, King's Tomb, okay.
So he'll do King's Tomb, he'll do this bunker up here, and I think he'll end it in Skullwoods. And he hasn't done Eastern Palace because it's flipper locked.
Yeah, Eastern Palace is at the Dark Shopping Mall, so it's flipper locked. Andy looks pretty stumped right now.
So let's see if he... Well, he's making the right direction.
He's going in the right direction.
He hasn't checked his items.
Yeah, he has not looked at his menu screen.
Alright, here we go. So Andy's up an Ice Palace clear that Lin's probably about to match.
Yeah, okay, he realized. So yeah, Andy's got Skullwoods and Ice versus Lin's Swamp Palace.
And Lin's Eastern. Which may not be required, but did come with the desert.
That is probably correct. Forgot that Andy had done Ice Palace as well as Skullwoods. So yeah,
I think if Andy goes directly to Swamp, he will be ahead. If he goes straight to Thieves Town and everything's just kind of on the way there. Otherwise, things like checking for Eastern Palace and stuff are going to be higher on Andy's mind, even though they only have the Desert Big. So, or if the Desert Big ends up being important. Skowa's Big Key was on Bumper Ledge. They've had it for more than an hour. Anyway, here's the Swamp play.
So Andy's gonna clear out Swamp. Lin has not found Ice Palace yet. If he does, I'm not sure if he'll go
He's
in
about
immediately, but I think he will.
Lin's 100% making the Ice Palace play here.
Yeah.
Andy did Ice Palace before he had the Big Key, right?
Nah, he found it before he got the Big Key,
Okay.
but put it off and came back after he got it.
Left side swamp isn't that much of a time investment. He's not done if he goes to left side swamp.
I wouldn't be surprised if he skipped left side Swamp.
I wouldn't be shocked, but I also would not expect him to necessarily.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. And he also doesn't have the Swamp Big Key. He's got that away. So he is leaving another item behind him here. Swamp Big Chest had nothing. The only item of note in here is the Thieves' Town Big Key in the flooded room.
Oh,
Andy.
and Andy making the play for left side.
Yep.
Not surprising, but
Nowadays, the Desert Big Key is Swamp Palace. We found a connector there earlier. Andy just scummed it away because the connector was Desert Palace and he had just stolen the key to check the right side.
I'm actually a little surprised Andy didn't get that before going here.
He's probably... I mean, he probably feels a bit behind after those flippers.
So Andy's in a weird place, because he probably feels behind due to the flippers, but he also knows that he made that ridiculously early GD climb that was insanely paid, like, insanely
Yeah, he got the boots super early. Andy didn't miss it, Jacob, or he scummed it away. Because he scummed the desert small key.
But no, I definitely think it's anyone's game at this point. And will kind of depend on what happens. So Andy does have the advantage that he has the Thieves' Town small key that Lin doesn't have, and it's in a pretty bad spot that Lin isn't going to really want to go back to.
Yeah, the Thieves' Town Big Chest is probably Andy's biggest potential advantage here.
Although that
will
depends
be...
on whether Lin runs straight to Thieves' Town or says, I'm going to recheck this entrance. That swamp entrance is kind of in a pretty bad spot for Lin.
Will be mostly evened out here though. They'll finish their respective dungeons approximately around the same time. Andy will be done with Swamp a little bit earlier, I think. But then it'll be mostly evened out between the two of them. With the exception of Andy having that Swamp, that Thieves' Town Big, and Lin having done Eastern Palace.
Z3 Rando has the ability to change the soundtrack if you would like to, with something called MSU packs. Randomizer, so I suspect Andy's going to make the move straight to Thieves Town.
With the small key, there's really no reason not to.
Especially given how close he is, yeah, I agree. I think what Lin does is a more interesting question.
I still expect Lin to go straight to Thieves Town, but we'll see.
I agree that is his most likely play, as Lin loses the Cold Stare corner, but finishes it off pretty easily.
So I think if the Cane of Samaria is just here in Thieves Town and that blocks our remaining progression, Andy's in the lead. Otherwise, I think Lin is still ahead. It's going somewhere else.
Trying to figure out where.
T-Rock Big Chest, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Eastern had a Desert Big Key, which is out there as a giant pillar of question mark right now. And I think if that has something, Lin's going to be comfortably ahead.
Yeah. If that does, if Lin has a green pet and has something, then Lin is in a pretty good position. Andy could theoretically hover Turtle Rock, but so could Lin, and they need the Cane of Samaria for Meyer anyway.
I'll say hovering's pretty irrelevant right now. Both of the runners can do it, and it's not helpful because Meyer's a crystal.
And Lin is going for Lanmolas here. He really does not want to go into Thieves Town without the small key.
Well, not the one item that Lin would find in Logic. I would say it's not just the moment of truth, though, necessarily, because not having the small key is making Lin push away from the Thieves Town play. So blind is really the moment of truth.
Samaria and Pod Big, if you got mod, that is correct. Thieves Town has come up empty so far. Well, I would say the Eastern Palace dip is required. Advantage swings back to Lin, I think.
I believe that is what we call a interesting. Because there's the mitts for Andy.
Yeah, what now?
That actually may be really bad for Andy, too.
If those mitts aren't required, yeah, that is really, really bad for him.
Like, even if they are, it's going to feel like that's what you have to do. So if Pod Big Key's on the way, Andy's going to do a bunch of extra stuff, too.
Lin is going to try next now, it seems.
Very reasonable play.
I mean, the problem isn't that Lin will get the mitts. The problem is that the mitts block a bunch of garbage that might just have nothing. Because if Pod Big Key is behind the Cane of Samaria, then Andy is wasting a lot of time here.
Even if the Pod Big Key is behind the mitts, like, even if that's the case, Andy's going to be in a position where he could find the Pod Big Key and not be in go mode and do a bunch of extra stuff.
It depends on which mitts check it is, though. If it's like purple chest or something, then Lin's going to do all the mitts checks as well.
Very true.
So, well, Cane of Samaria was on Lin Molas.
Well, no, Lin is more likely to check entrances, I guess, because he hasn't found Hype Cave yet.
Well, Andy hasn't found Eastern yet. I would suspect he'll prioritize finding it since he knows it's an entrance with 6 items.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
but it's in a pretty awkward spot. Yeah, I don't expect Andy to go back to Swamp Palace. Ever.
Yeah, if he was planning on ever... Uh-oh.
Well,
Well,
that's GG, boys. Yeah, suddenly Lin has a huge advantage.
yeah. So now those bits are extremely unfortunate.
Yeah, now that's just a giant time sink for Andy. As Lin gets to go mow the rest of his dungeons.
Yeah, I think ultimately the flipper skip and the GT climb kind of offset each other. And
Yeah.
obviously it hurt Andy, but I don't think it single-handedly doomed it. Because it was really in any person could win territory until that Cane of Samaria showed up. And then it was compounded by the mitts being where they were.
Eastern Palace entrance is down at the Dark Shopping Mall, so very awkward spot for Andy to get back to. Probably gonna be a bit.
I mean, Andy could have found that without the flippers even. Like, he had the opportunity.
Yeah, he could have, but
He went up
don't
to
really
Catfish
fault
and
him.
could have... I'm not
I
like...
don't think it's a... Like... I don't blame him for not sequence breaking those.
No, but he went
Maybe
up to
tried to.
Catfish and he had the easy opportunity to water walk from Catfish, is what he didn't do.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he also had the problem with the splash deletion, but he easily could have done it from Catfish, which is, I think, the more conventional time that you do that. I mean, I'm hyped. This was a great first race.
Yeah, this was a really, really good start to the finals. I'm super excited to see more races between these two.
I mean, you do know that a double Lim Grand Finals is literally just best of 3 with a 1-0 advantage, right? Unless you mean you want 2 straight best of 5s, which is asking a lot of your runners. Bracket resets are great when your matches take short amounts of time or you're doing best of 1. And yes, we will be back tomorrow, I believe at 3 p.m. Eastern for game 2/3, depending on how you count.
That is correct. Andy is gonna find Eastern Palace here, but it is much too late for him to mount a comeback at this point. Lin, please stop clowning.
Lin's laughing to himself right now that he pushed off Thieves Town.
I believe that.
Yep, and for those of you who are actually counting, this is basically just a very extended best of 7 between Andy and Lin. With the previous
That's-
series supplying the first 3 games.
That's one way to look at it. Andy does not look very pleased about that desert big key.
Really can't blame him. Honestly, I have expected him to skip the big key chest at this point.
Yeah, I don't think
yeah.
Andy's really the kind of person to make those kinds of gambles, but he is in a position where he probably has to. I mean, from our perspective, we know the race is over, but
Yeah.
that's not really an Andy's playstyle though, so I'm not surprised he didn't.
That's very true. That's much more in Lin's playbook, I would say. Like, not only, I love that not only do we have 2 good runners, we have 2 runners who have very, very opposing styles. Because I think you get lots of interesting contrast out of it.
Makes
I mean, like, you
for
can tell, like,
very
even right
interesting
here, like, Lin's execution is good, but he's going to lose a little bit time overall to Andy on the whole. Whereas Andy's execution is going to be on par with just about anybody who runs rando, especially anyone who seriously plays crosskeys, because most of the, like, really, really good, solid execution runners don't really play crosskeys. Yes,
Andy definitely has the best execution in this tournament, but Lin is very, very good at crosskeys routing, so... And it's not like his execution is bad.
No, Lin would have been one of the probably 2 people I would have picked at the start of this tournament as a favorite to win.
Lin was my favorite to win the tournament from the start, and here he is in finals, about to take the first, well, sort of take the first game.
Yeah, I mean, my picks would have been, oh hey, it's Quake. My picks would have been Lin or some that I'm commentating with right now, so...
Well, we saw how that went.
Well, I did what I had to do to get you out of the tournament, man. I don't apologize. Kurek was the winner of the first tournament. But I believe he got bounced in 2 games this tournament.
Did he even join this one?
Yep. He joined the qualifiers very, very late, and then...
I know he played the qualifiers, but I don't think he actually played in the tournament, did he?
Alright, I'm actually going to the bracket. I'm pretty sure he played.
He played a few qualifiers in Carrot, I remember that, but I don't
Nope,
think
you guys
he
are
played
completely
brackets.
right. He was not in the bracket. He did not go to brackets. He played qualifiers, but decided not to join brackets.
Actually, no, not. I lost in losers finals last year to Jack, who was the finals opponent against Korek.
No, Ganon's just hanging out at the castle. Yeah, I can't blame anyone for getting burned out on the game or wanting to take a break. I've certainly done it in my time.
Yeah, Korek has started playing again a bit though, probably prepping for the league coming back yet again. Andy
he has
is
the,
making the land play now.
when's the
so he is
reveal
gonna
stream
get
for
to
that?
Mario. For the league, it's gonna be on Sunday, I believe.
Yeah, so lots of exciting stuff
Saturday?
happening in Link to the Past right now.
Sunday, I'm pretty sure. Oh.
Andy about to find his cane of Samaria, which, I mean, he knows at this point. Like, he's gonna find it, he's gonna go straight to Trinex B and Go mode, but before he even gets to Trinex, Lin's gonna have killed Ganon.
Yeah. Well, I think Andy might get his pod big key before Lin finishes.
It'll be really close. Yeah, Andy half remembers he had an extra key and can skip.
Depends on if he goes for Bitches or Trinex first. I guess.
Oh, that's a fair point. But I assume he's gonna go for Trinex. I would. Well,
Hey, it's a mirror shield.
actually, I'd probably go for Vitreous first, because that way, if Vitreous had the pod big key, you aren't tempted to do the front of
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Try to rock.
You end up committing. Wait, no, he has a big key, so you're not even doing the pod big chest or the Mire big chest. So yeah, Vitches first seems like the logical choice.
I mean, Jacob, or one of my favorite things about Crosskeys is how fast you can go from Go mode to Pig is Dead.
Yeah, the end
My
game
fastest speed of
Crosskeys
the
is very
tournament.
satisfying.
I hit Go mode at 0 crystals at like 1 hour and 20 minutes and finished at like 141. Alright, you can go real fast, and that's an extreme case. Gotta say, super respect this hostile play from Andy here. I would say he has to feel bad about that Kane and know he's in trouble. And so rather than going straight for the crystal dungeon, he says, you know what, I'm gonna make the counter play and see if I can get built out here.
Yeah, Andy is going for Vitches as expected.
Then opens with a double, gonna skip the torch glitch to set up the better shot, and gonna close with 2 silvers right here. And that will be GG on game 1.5. Andy looks like he just saw Lin finish as well. It looks like he may play through the string seed, which is not surprising. He doesn't have much to go. He's only a few minutes behind.
And I do believe we are joined by Linlinlin, our winner. Hello, Uwu.
Hello, Uwu. GG's.
GG.
Yeah, that was quite the seed.
Yes.
A little bit of a good GT climb.
Yes. I mean, like after I got the hammer, I think I didn't save and quit at all. I knew I had the backup escape. I knew I had it.
Yeah.
You did not save and quit until you did Zora because we were waiting for you to do back of escape. Specifically because Andy forgot to mark that he had the Skullwood's big key and missed his flippers. And so we were intensely intrigued by what was in Swamp Palace.
Nothing.
There was a Thieves Town big key in Swamp Palace.
Oh yeah, okay, fine. But like, yeah, and like, after I found Southwest Death Mountain Foothills Cave, after our job, I was like, oh crap, I should have checked that connector.
It certainly would have helped you a little bit to.
We were
didn't
surprised
lose-
you didn't.
I didn't. I mean, I noticed when I was down already, and I was like, should I go back? Nah. I mean, admittedly, I didn't lose much time because I went back pretty quickly.
You got half bailed out by bullshit woods there. Because that was probably the only reason why you even saved and quit there. Which is what sent you going, or you didn't save and quit, you mirrored and then fluted back to 5. Otherwise, I assume you would have kept going through Village of Outcasts down and ended your route at Zora there as well.
No, actually not. I told you I thought about it when I was down, so
Okay.
I was
So you did
actually
it after
going.
Skullwoods
Yeah.
no matter what?
Yeah.
Alright. But yeah, this ended up being a really, really interesting race. Andy climbed GT at 1 small key. His very, very first time he went in with the hammer and hook shot, because he went through that connector a little earlier than you and followed it. And did get that glove, and he had also already checked the hammer. And so he knew that it was there, and so as soon as he got the glove, that was a nice point for him. And then decided to climb right away, which was a very risky play, and I'm sure Andy knew he was taking a risk there, and it paid out handsomely. But ultimately, he basically dead last locationed his flippers and even spent probably about a minute or so, I would say, trying to figure out what he had missed before he realized he had the Skullwood's big key.
Like, other than that, I think other than the hammer situation where I didn't lose much time, I think without boots, I routed that pretty well. Like, when your first items are the pearl and the mirror, you're like, oh,
Yeah, we had a good laugh at your early routing and your adamant refusal to take more than 2 steps in the light world.
And no problems with it whatsoever. Like, I think it was the right way to route the seed. It was just kind of amusing. As Andy's going to be making a play for his 7th crystal here. I mean, I don't think Lin put off Back of Escape longer than ideal. Like, when was he supposed to do it?
Yeah, like, I don't really know when he was supposed to do it. Like, on his first save and quit, you do it, and it took him a while to get a good opportunity to save and quit. I don't really have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And I don't really think it hurt him in the long run either.
No, I don't think it did. The only thing it hurt him is that he didn't single dip swamp. But that was like, hurt him to like 5-10 seconds, not
Yeah, it's not
heavy
really a
amounts of
big
time
deal.
lost. And yeah, Andy does decide to forfeit here and isn't going to complete the scene.
We'll see if we can get him in here.
But yeah, this ended up being a really, really interesting seed, especially because I think it was routed very, very differently by the two of you. Andy did a very heavy light world route early on, even with the mirror and the pearl, whereas you were the ADHD kid rather. And really it was anyone's seed at the point when Andy got his Thieves Town big key. The difference was he had the fire rod already when he went through Skull Woods. So he found Hype Cave in the back of Skull Woods, which had the Thieves Town small key. And so he went straight to Thieves Town, whereas you decided, I assume you felt uncomfortable going without the small key, and so you decided to make the desert play instead.
Okay.
I assume we kind of guessed that was your motivation. I'm not sure if we were right or not.
I was going to the back of Skull Woods, but I wasn't going there without the green pendant.
And as we are joined by Andy, GG's.
Hello, GG's.
Hello, GG.
Hi, Andy. GG.
Skullwood's big chest strikes again. I was really upset because I was like, I didn't even remember getting it, and I knew that I didn't get it after going to Skullwood, so it felt really bad.
Yeah,
On
it
Bumper
was
Ledge, I found out.
on Bumper Ledge, yeah.
I would say
So-
ultimately, I think it just about offset your early climb to GT. Like, it certainly
Yeah.
cost you time to not have the flippers, but I think it probably hurt you less than you thought.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you had to do pretty much everything this seed anyways.
Yeah, and you had the boots, I would estimate, probably about 40 minutes earlier than Lynn did.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
So that
I
helped a
was
lot.
feeling super good after that GT climb, and then yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's okay.
Yeah, so ultimately, I think the big difference maker, because the Skullwood's big chest thing and the boots just kind of offset each other, the big difference maker was that Lynn did not have the Thieves Town small key, so he went for Len Molas instead of Thieves Town, and he got Go mode before he got the mids.
Like I was saying before you joined, I was going to the back of Skull Woods, but I saw Sash that was up there, so I was like, okay, I'll just do green pendant before going there.
He had 10 arrows, by the way.
And then I got the cane, and then I just did training, so I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I also forgot to go grab the Swamp Big Key before I went into Swamp Palace.
We were wondering about that. I was actually a little bit surprised, since you knew that Desert was a pendant, that you actually even scummed that Swamp Big Key away. Although I
Yeah.
certainly understand why you would be a little bit hesitant about it.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, like, I don't think I had Hookshot or found the dam or even found Swamp.
Yeah,
Or had
you
flippers,
were
so I was
really,
like,
really late.
There's so much stuff that I still need that there's no point in having that.
I'll say
But-
Lynn had already found the Desert small key by the time that we did it, so we saw you sort of like, ooh, that's going to be unfortunate. And it obviously
Okay.
ended up just being a heart piece, but since for a lot of the seed it was waiting to see when you would realize that you had the Skullwood's big key,
Yeah.
and understand, and then say, okay, is anything going to be in Swamp? And it wasn't until Lynn got to, what I would say, the 8th chest, 7th chest that he actually found anything.
Yeah, it was just the Thieves Town Big in the back.
But even at that point, like when you killed Argus, like you killed Argus about, I'd say, 20 seconds before Lynn killed Cold Stare, and then you guys were basically all square at that point, other than Lynn had done Eastern Palace at that point since he had his flippers earlier. And so it was really just a where is Kane going to be? And it ended up being in Desert, which obviously ended up being the decider.
Yeah, I was really hoping for Thieves Town Big Chest to have something, because I was like, there's no way. Like, Lynn either gambles doing Thieves Town without the small key, or he gets this small key super duper late. So I was really hoping.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the bigger potential deciding factors in the race at that point.
The mitts on blind were also quite rude.
They were.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting from our perspective, because Lynn got the cane from Landmo and you got the mitts from blind within about 5 seconds of each other.
Yeah, because it was like, oh wow, is this going to lock the pod? So we saw the cane, like, okay, well that's a big swing for Lynn's favor. And then we saw the mitts, like, wow, that might lock the big key. And obviously, I assumed, I would say, Lynn, you can tell us who you would have or not, but we assumed that you would have just gone after you killed Trinix and Vitreous and gone for Thieves Town at that point, right? Or would you have still done back as
I mean, I would have gone to the Maya area, but yeah, I would end the Maya area with Thieves Town, obviously.
But that's what I mean. Like, you couldn't have gone to the Maya area until you did Thieves Town.
Forgot. No, I would have gone for Thieves Town, I think. I would have gone for Thieves Town and then GT, probably.
Yeah, ultimately, this ended up being like a really, really good, really fun first run of the Grand Finals. And someone pointed out that this is really just an extended best of 7 between you two. That's now tied up 2-2.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah, this was a really fun race to watch, guys. I definitely had a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing the rest of this series for sure.
Game 2 is tomorrow, or game asterisk 2 is tomorrow.
2.5.
At 3 p.m. Eastern.
I will probably be asleep.
I will be awake and watching, but there will be a different commentary staff going. I don't remember who all is coming. I think it was Clear Mouse and somebody else who were covering. Excalibur, yeah, who have done a lot of commentary for the tournament so far, and so they'll be joining you guys tomorrow. And of course, shout out to the true winner of the seed, Acid's Reign 30, who, when we were talking about how Andy climbing GT was quite the gamble, said, "Sure, it all feels like a gamble until Andy finds the boots and Fire Rod."
My theory was I could do it. I hadn't done Pyramid yet, so that was just an extra item. So it was like 10 items, and I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. Then I can chain some other stuff after I beat GT. And if it pays off, I feel really good about it.
It was a very respectable play, I think. I don't think I would have pulled the trigger on it that early, but I can definitely understand the decision.
Yeah, I think both Goom and I said the same thing, is that, like, hey, this is probably a little bit too aggressive for our tastes, but we understand why you're doing it, and it's a play that is a perfectly legitimate play to make. And paid off in spades.
I would have thought about it if I had the lamp.
Yeah, I would say, Lynn's GT clear came in his 18-year-long sweep of the dark and light world that finally ended at Zora.
Yeah.
At which point he saved and quit, and then finally checked the back of Escape.
Yeah, Lynn got his glove and hammer kind of late because he didn't follow Bumper Cave.
Yeah, I figured that was also pretty good for me as well, because I was just like, hey, do you want to do these connectors, or do you want to not do these connectors? I mean, we already had so many open connectors available early.
I mean, I did them all. That's the thing. I literally did them all before finding the last one that leads you to Bumper.
Oh man, and I was just laughing because I did Spiral Cave instead of going to Flute 5, and then I ended up getting spit out of Pod House. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. I have the mirror. I can just go do that. And then I just followed the connectors there instead of going to Pod entrance.
Yeah, but that was one of those things. You find Spiral Cave in Eastern Palace is just a terrible situation.
Yeah, it's like, especially
like,
without a glove, it's like, man, do I want to do like a huge stupid circle in Eastern screen? No.
So yeah, and unlike Lynn, you already had the information about where the hammer was. where Lin actually didn't have that information until he was doing his first Dark World sweep, because Lin didn't go through Bumper Cave the very, very first time he found it. He didn't have the cape, but he did have the hookshot, so he could have traversed it either way.
I did have the hookshot, but I like I said,
I said you did have the hookshot.
Oh. Okay.
But yeah, I think this ended up being. I'm really, really excited for the rest of the series. This is going to be a fun watch.
This was also it was a really interesting seed because like early Mirror and Moon Pearl and like 8 bajillion connectors accessible. There were a lot of routing options in the early game.
Yeah, if you watch the way you routed, you did about the exact opposite of each other.
Yeah, I feel like the seed really emphasized the difference in your routing styles.
Like when I got the foot, I was like, I don't want to activate that. That doesn't work in the Dark World.
Yeah, so Andy, your entire seed, I believe, came from from Waterfall Ferry in Kakariko, which we used to buy bombs. And I think you got the 2 or 3 minute mark, and I made a comment at like the 37-minute mark when Lin opened that chest and got that same
It was pretty funny because Lin just was not going to Kakariko Village, and then finally a connector puts him in Kakariko Village, and he walks over to the next house, and it's Hyrule Castle. I'm like, okay, who wants to bet Lin's just gonna not do any more of Kakariko Village, just follow the other exit? And then that's exactly what happens.
Oh man. Yeah, this was a fun seed. I'm glad I found. I was really hoping that Pod Big Key wasn't in Swamp Big Chest, but I just wanted to find the Pod Big Key before I quit.
I was saying, even so, you were like probably 3 minutes out at that point with the gear that you had.
Yep. Yeah, it wouldn't have been too much longer.
And so, like, even with all the stuff that happened, this ended up being a really close race.
Yeah.
Probably would have been at a 7-8 minute difference at most.
Oh.
All right. So as we said, Game 2 is coming up tomorrow. Let's say, Crane, I think you're still here. Do you have any sort of other things that we want to advertise, or do you just want to say, hey, everybody, come join us for Game 2?
Well, I'm taking over for Crane for the moment for cluing everything up. We have Game 2 coming up tomorrow between Andy and Linlinlin at 3 p.m. at 3 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. And also, we will be taking a moment now as we clue up to raid into ZSR2. Which I am trying to figure out what it is that they're hosting right now. I do not have it in front of me. But I want to thank both runners. GG, guys. And we're really excited to see you both again tomorrow. And I want to thank both of our commentators today, Alizin and Goomba, as well as my co-tracker today, Oddwalls. And Crane for taking the bulk of this whole restream, with me just kind of backing him up at the end here. So thanks everybody. We will be cluing this up now, and we are going to raid. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.